Okay, so here we are, day, what, 3 of the installation?
Day 969. So we ordered our solar panels. What we're doing is we're putting 6 200-watt solar panels on up here. You can see we already have 4 solar panels on the roof that is on another solar system. We're leaving it.
So here's 2 of them right here, and then we had 2 up front there.
They were a small system, and Michelle and I are power hogs. So
yes, we are.
We left that system up there, and we're putting a different solar system, so we had to add a controller and panels and that. So what I'm doing right now is I am mounting the panels to the roof, and then I am now connecting all the wires to a combination box up here on the roof, so that I will then only have to run 1 set of wires down to the ground. So that's the goal, that's the plan, and that's what I'm in the process of getting done right at the moment.
And so Shane did, you did have to drill some holes in the roof, right?
I unfortunately didn't drill holes in the roof, but I did screw things down to the roof, which still made holes in the roof.
And then you use the, what's that stuff called? The white stuff?
I'm using a self-leveling die core, and that is connecting, or that seals up around the screws and that. What I did is I marked where each foot of the control panel is going to be, and then I put that sealant down on there, and once it was on there, I then put it back on the panel. I screwed it back on. I'm sorry, I then set the panel on top of it, screwed the panel down, and then I went ahead and screwed it down and then sealed over the top of the screw and all the way around the entire leg of it and everything. Okay, so as I said earlier, this is a controller, or I'm sorry, not a controller box. It's a combiner box of what I'm using. So if you go onto Amazon or to the RV places, you're going to find these combiner boxes run you anywhere from $100 to $150. What I did is, you can see it's a hardcore plastic exterior box for residential. I bought it's got a 60 amp breaker in it. I'm not going to use the breaker because I already have an inline breaker already, so it's kind of pointless. But what I'm doing is I'm using it as a combiner. You can see I'm putting all my hot wires on this bar and all my negative wires on this bar, and then I have my main lines that are connected to that goes down to the control panel down below. So this is strictly just a combiner box that I'm using right here. As I said, you could connect it to the circuit breaker if you wanted to have an additional circuit breaker up on the roof. I don't see a reason to. So, but as I said, these are $100 to $150 online. This is $20 at Lowe's. So I went with the $20 one. I'm connecting it this way. Saves myself a lot of money, does the exact same thing. You know, I know one of the combiner boxes that I saw for $120 didn't have a circuit breaker. It just had the combiner bars like the way I'm doing it. I saw some other ones that had circuit breakers and they were a little bit fancier and stuff. They all do the same thing. Quite honestly, I don't see a reason to want to come up here and have to hit that circuit breaker on the roof. I have one down in the compartment, a shut-off switch, so even if I was going to come up here and work on my solar system, I would just turn off the off switch down where all of my solar equipment is. So it's pointless. Now I'm leaving this here because the cover goes over the top of it. So I will mark this as a non-used circuit breaker, and just leaving it as a cover to put the cover on. So that's the purpose of this box, what I'm using it for. Like I said, it's about 20 bucks at Lowe's. Much better deal than the 100 and something that RV places want. Same electricity. All right, so next, so what I've done now is I've just connected these two panels to the box. I'm doing our panels in 3 different circuits. So I've got their 2, 2, and 2 is the way I'm connecting them together. So I connect, the way you did it is I took the positive wire from that panel and connected it to the negative wire to this panel. And then I'm taking the positive wire from this panel and it goes into the positive bar, and the negative wire from that panel comes in here to the negative bar. That gives me one circuit for this panel. I'm going to do the same with the other 2. Once those are all combined together, then they will all hook in. Everything will be set here and we will be done on the roof, with the exception of a little bit of sealant, making sure, checking all of our sealant around all the legs and that kind of stuff so that we have no leaks or issues. So that's that part. I am going to connect this set of group now, and just to give you a little bit more explanation of what I got going on. So this particular piece right here is a fuse. In case we have any kind of bad current comes through, too high of current, whatever like that, it will blow my fuse right here. Okay, you can see these. You can buy them. We got ours where we got the panels at Continuous Resource. That's where we got them. They're not very expensive. I don't remember exactly how much they are. So this will hook into the positive line, which I'm going to connect right now. So this is my positive. And you hear it click. All right, sorry for the sound of freedom. We are in Yuma, Arizona, and we are in the Palms RV Resort, which happens to be a few miles down the road from the United States Marine Corps base. It's an air base, and so occasionally, they don't go right overhead, but they go around us and stuff, and so we can have a little bit of noise every once in a while. All right, so now what I gotta do is, my wires are set up over there. I've got a positive and a negative, and I need to run a wire from them to the box. So, in order to do so, I have my wires here. Red I'm using as positive, black I'm using as negative. And what I need to do is I need to create a wire in order to connect these together. So in order to do so, you have to get these little connectors. And what are these called? These are CW4 connectors, I think is what they're called, something like that. They're solar connectors, they're all the same. So what happens is when you buy a kit, you get this kit right here. You notice you have a long silver and a short, or long silver and a short silver, and then you have a male and a female connector. Now, for those of you who failed anatomy class, the male connector is the thing that goes inside the female connector. That's where they come up with their names. Don't get mad at me for being perverted. So, this is the female, this is the male. You can see it goes into the hole, okay? So, interestingly, when you connect these up, you do them the opposite. So, the short silver piece is for the female, the long silver piece is for the male. What we do in order to do this is we take the cap off. There's a little blue plug in here that we want to go ahead and pull it out. And in this wind it will blow away, so I'm going to put it right there in that tool so it doesn't. Now we have to take we're doing the female. So we're going to take our wire And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip off a piece of wire. Okay, once you strip it off, then you're going to take and put this right up into that little hole like so. Now, they have special solar connector.
It was blowing away.
Sorry,
lost
wind
focus.
blowing. Show was more interested in that. Sorry about that. So they have little solar connector type things that you can buy and all that kind of stuff. You know, I grew up on a ranch and poor folk, we learned to make do. So I'm using my regular tools. This wind is a killer here. And so all I'm going to do first is I'm going to crimp this down. Try to kind of rotate it around evenly to crimp it a good tight crimp on it. And I'm going to bend these tabs over a little bit. Bend this one over a little bit. This one. Then I want to make sure that that's not going to pull off. Then I'm going to take my handy dandy little piece here. Now remember we had the blue, so this is going to go in, and it's kind of snug at first when it goes in. You'll hear it kind of go through, and then as it gets in there, that's not the way it's supposed to go. All right, let's crimp this on a little bit tighter. This is why you want to test and pull everything. Actually, I'm going to do this. Open it up a little bit. I might do this one again. All right, let's crimp this sucker down tighter. There we go. All right, where'd my piece go? Do I have my, make sure you have the other ones on.
That's that blue piece, right?
The blue piece and the black piece that goes in there. There we go. Okay, then we have the blue piece. It goes in, it's our water resistant one. It goes right there. And then this comes up and screws on here. tools. Or they don't give you, you have to buy them. They're another couple dollars or something. And they have a way to be able to tighten it down nice and tight. Okay. So now we have.
Let's see those tools a little bit better.
These are the tools they come. So this is, you can see this part goes on to hold this section of it, and then you'll need two of them, and this section goes on here to hold this part of it. I think when you buy, I say you need two of them. When you buy them, they come as a set. So this is one set, and they're identical tools, but they come as a set. So this is our positive. This should then now be a connection for this line here, which will go, and you hear the click. All right, now we're going to do the same thing for the negative. So that's our ground wire, black wire, ground wire. You can see here we have the ground. So we're going to now, male side, female side, stick them in her, and you'll hear it click. Once that clicks, you know that you are connected in there. Now, what we're going to do is, currently, right at the moment, I'm just connecting, I'm kind of holding the wires the way I want them to go, and then we are going to run them over, hook them in, and then I will come up here and I'm going to mount these wires down to the roof so that they don't flop and wear on each other. But currently, I have this set up. Oops. Gotta take this off. I was using this wire as a guide wire when I was trying to run, which we didn't film. So if you see right here, this is the refrigerator vent on top of we have a residential refrigerator, and that's the vent up on the roof of it. That's a great place. It has a cavity behind it. That's a great place to run your wires down. So that gets them from the rooftop down without having to make other holes in your roof. So that's what I did. And the only problem is that some of the wire is a little bit thicker, and the gauge wire. There goes one of our cardboard covers. One of the wires was a little bit more floppy, let's say, and so it made it hard to try to get it down through the hole and not get caught up. So what I did is, this gauge wire is a little bit stiffer. The other wire I used is a welding wire, and I used a number 4 welding wire because once we get down to the bottom, it goes by the engine compartment. There's a lot of heat down there, and so I used that welding wire in order to do that. Anyway, so I ran this wire first, taped the welding wire to it, and then pulled it through, and then untaped it. But I left some of the tape on here. So I'm just going to get this off here so I can figure out what I want to do. So this goes on here like this, and then.
So Shane, can you re-explain just this one? I think I missed a tiny bit of this. So.
All right, what would you like to know?
So this is like just your central area for all of your inverter and battery power, and then some slide stuff. Is that right? And then this is where you're connecting the wires from the roof into this main box.
Correct. So this is my 3,000 watt inverter. This is my PT100. So this is my inverter charger that runs from the batteries, runs everything, turns everything DC to AC, meaning it turns it from battery power to regular electric power. That's this box here. This box is the PT100. It's the solar controller. It turns the solar power into energy to send over to the batteries. So, and then these two talk together. Up here, this kind of stuff right here, just so happens that these are different things for different stuff. So I do know I have like, this up here is a coil for my slides. These are my slide breakers and stuff. So there's a couple other things in here, but I'm using this as kind of my brain spot, to have all the brain section working and stuff. Right now I'm just I'm connecting some power wires to be able to connect everything together and have shut-off switches. There we go. Now when I put this on, no metal shows through. That makes me happier. This one is on. Okay. So this is going to be mounted right here. Like so. Just gotta figure out how. And then, so now we have, this is the negative wire. It's gonna come down here. Behind everything else. Here. So before I turn it all on now, the power, the last thing I need to connect together are the communications between them. We've got the electricity and all that's getting ready to flow. It's not on yet. I'm going to turn it on here in a minute. But before I do that, I want to make sure that all the controllers and everything are talking to each other. So first we have to connect this to here. I also have a few other things that are on here. I have an auto start generator, and I have a battery monitor, and then I have the remote. So basically 4 phone lines need to go into there, and obviously my phone line only has a 3. I can't find a 4, so I have to put an additional splicer. So I am going to connect my couple of different things here to have them all connected together. So that one's going to connect. That says network cable, and that says remote. Sure. So I'm going to connect that like so. To connect this one here. here.
Okay.
All right, so we got the solar install completed. I got everything installed. I put 6 200 volt panels on the roof, so I got a total of 1200 volts up on the roof, or I'm sorry, watt panels. And we have the PT100, so we got it all wired, all hooked up. Now, when we hooked it up, I went down to a little solar store, I won't mention the name, and they asked them for the advice on some wiring. We looked at some charts, and they gave me some wire, this particular wire right here, which the one they gave me was a number 8 wire, and as you can see, that's now a number 2 wire. So quite a bit bigger than a number 8. The number 8's about this little smaller than a pencil. So we got it all hooked up. We left the park here. We went up to Quartzsite, did some boondocking with Life Uninterrupted. And immediately what we started to notice, I kept tripping a breaker. So we went and talked to some more solar people, and they told us that that wire was too small. So Brian with Life Uninterrupted, he helped me out, and we redid the wire going from the PT100 to the battery bank with the number 2 gauge, and that changed the fuse. They had told us at the other store, they had told us to put a 30 amp fuse in, and that we were popping that, and now we have a 100 amp fuse in, which is what the other solar place said we need, and what the manual called for. So we got it all hooked up, and it started working. And so what I did is I wired it in, there's 6 panels, and I did it as 2, 2, and 2. So these 2 panels were wired together, and they went to a junction box. These 2 went to a junction box, and these 2 went to a junction box. From the junction box, they all came down on one big wire. So we were getting 47 volts is all we were getting, which didn't make sense since that's what just one section of 2 would. And because of the way I had it wired, that was the way it was done. And I'm not going to go into all the terminology because I know you guys all know more than I do about this. But what we found out is that I had wired it that way, so if one section of the 2 panels was in the shade, the other ones would work. I thought it would multiply them together when it hit the junction box, but it doesn't. So the max the junction box will put out is the 47. So I then went back up, and Brian and I talked about it, and he did some adjustments on his. I went ahead and changed the wiring, so I now have all 6 of them going together. And so you wire them positive, so you know the first panel, the positive wire goes into the box, and then all the rest, it goes positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So the positive wire from one panel hooks to the negative wire of the other panel, and so on until you get all the way around to the last panel. It's the negative that goes to the junction box. Got it all wired up like that, and turned it back on, and I was getting at the last time I looked at it, I was getting 137 volts, but it was a little overcast. It's early in the morning right now. We got the sun way over here. I don't know, probably got a couple of panels that are being blocked a little bit because of it. We're getting about 115 going in this morning so far. I'm sure that's going to jump up as soon as the sun gets up high, a little bit higher. So it's directly coming from practically our side instead of over the top of us right now. So anyway, now it's all up and running, and it's working. It was interesting. We went to the 4 of us, Life Uninterrupted, and us went up to the desert bar when I had it wired the original way, the 2, 2, and 2, and I just did a test, and I checked my battery level, and they were at 13.2 when I left. We were gone for about 6 hours. I got back, and they were at 13.2. So the 2 panels was keeping
the freezer, the refrigerator, and everything, it was putting in about the same amount as what I was drawing out of it. So now it's putting in 3 times as much, so it'll charge the batteries much faster now. That's about it. We're up and going with solar. We actually have now 2 solar systems, because there was an old solar system that was already on the rig that had 4 smaller panels, and it had its own control box, and I just left that all alone, so it's going down like that, and then I installed a new one that's going in. So we have the 2 systems. Figure that old one's been on there for quite some time, so slowly I can change out those panels as need be. All right, have a great day.